Time never lies, it reveals. Let that breathe for a second, my friends, because the truth is, every person who thought they could play with your silence, your patience, your loyalty, or your emotions eventually meets the reality they tried to avoid. And that reality always shows up wearing regret. Time has a way of peeling back every mask, exposing every lie, and humbling every ego that thought it was untouchable. Hey folks, imagine this for a moment. You take a seed and bury it underground. To the world above, it looks like nothing is happening. Just dirt, just silence, just stillness. But underneath that surface, something powerful is taking shape. Roots are forming, strength is building, growth is happening in complete darkness. And one day, without warning, that same seed breaks through the soil, rises toward the sun, and becomes something impossible to ignore. While everyone thought it was gone, it was becoming. That's you, your quiet phases, your healing seasons, your silent transformations. They aren't empty, they're foundational. But here's the lie people love to tell themselves. If you're quiet, you're hurting. If you're silent, you're stuck. If you're not reacting, you must be weak. My friends, that's one of the biggest myths people cling to when their ego needs comfort. Silence is not weakness. Silence is preparation. Silence is where the emotional weightlifting happens. It's the storm gathering strength before it tears through the sky. Time does not break the right person. Time seasons them, sharpens them, evolves them into something their old world isn't ready for. And here's something folks rarely admit. The one who leaves quickly always thinks they've won. Their ego gets loud, their swagger gets exaggerated, their confidence becomes a performance. They tell themselves easy little bedtime stories like, they'll come back, they'll break first, or I still have control. But time has a hilarious way of flipping the script, because while they're out there acting unbothered, performing happiness and convincing themselves they're better off, you, quietly, steadily, begin to rise. You stop chasing, you stop apologizing, you stop shrinking yourself just to be accepted by someone who couldn't even see your depth. And your silence, it becomes the very thing that destroys the fantasy they built. While you heal in peace, they crumble in private. What once boosted their ego now punches right through it. It's funny how that works. Like that old saying goes, a rocking boat doesn't scare a calm sea. Your calmness, your discipline, your refusal to play their emotional games, it hits them harder with every passing day. Time turns your stillness into their mirror. And that mirror exposes everything they tried to hide from themselves. Here's the part most people don't understand. Time always takes a side. It doesn't stand neutral. It doesn't stay quiet. It sides with the person who loved genuinely. It sides with the person who walked away with dignity instead of drama. It sides with the heart that stayed pure, not the ego that played pretend. And the longer time stretches, the heavier their regret becomes, and the stronger your spirit grows. So don't fear time, don't fear silence, don't fear the distance between who you were and who you're becoming. Every quiet moment is shaping you, every still night is strengthening you, every step away from chaos is a step toward clarity. What feels like a pause in your life is actually the beginning of something powerful. Before we move forward, I want you to write today's affirmation in the comments. I rise quietly. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your reminder. And if this introduction already speaks to your soul, make sure you like, subscribe, and stay with me because we're just getting started. Number 1. The moment they think they won. The loudest ego always celebrates before the truth even shows up. Let that sink in, my friends, because the first thing that happens when they walk away, pull back, or act like you never mattered is not wisdom, not clarity, not peace. It's a celebration. Inside their head, there's a tiny party going on. They tell themselves they made the right call. They tell themselves you were too much, too emotional, too serious, too sensitive. They don't see you as a loss. They see you as something they escaped from. At least that's the story they tell themselves so they can sleep at night. Picture this. Two people are standing on a cliff edge. One jumps off with a parachute. The other stays behind, laughing, saying, "Look at them falling." In the first few seconds, it does look like that. One person is dropping fast. The other is standing tall, unmoved, safe. But what they can't see is the parachute that hasn't opened yet. They think gravity is your enemy. They don't realize gravity is about to turn into your flight. That's what happens at the start. They think you're falling apart. They think they're standing above it all. And time just patiently waits in the background, ready to show who was really in danger the whole time. This is the part where your mind messes with you. You see them laughing, posting, going out, acting like nothing happened. You watch them move on like you were just a side quest in their story, and questions start punching holes in your peace. Did I ever matter? Was I really that easy to leave? Are they happier without me? You replay everything, every word, every silence, every look. You start to believe a dangerous lie, that the one who looks fine right now is the one who is actually winning. But folks, here's the truth they don't teach you. Emotional peace is not a race to see who looks okay first. The one who moves fast isn't always the one who's healed. Sometimes they're just running from themselves. The loud posts, the fake laughs, the new people, the busy schedule, that's not always proof of strength. Many times it's proof of escape. You're not watching someone who is free. You're watching someone who is terrified of sitting alone with what they did, what they lost, and who they really are when no one is clapping. Still, it hurts. Let's be honest. It hurts to see them act unbothered while you're the one carrying all the weight. It hurts to see them walk away as if you never existed. That's where the fear creeps in. You start thinking, what if I was the problem? What if I wasn't enough? What if they really upgraded? You fear that your silence is making you invisible. You fear that your distance makes you forgettable. You fear that they're out there building a better life while you're stuck trying to glue your heart back together. But my friends, this is the lie we have to break today. Silence doesn't erase your value. Their performance doesn't erase your impact. Someone can pretend they're fine and still be haunted by you at 2 a.m. They can act like you were just another person and still feel that strange emptiness when they realize no one else understands them the way you did. They can tell their friends they're over it while secretly checking if you viewed their story. They can laugh on the outside and still feel something cracking on the inside every time your name comes up. Think about it like this. Imagine a glass table. On your side, the cracks are visible. You feel them. You see them. You sit there facing every fracture. On their side, they throw a tablecloth over it. They decorate it. They put flowers, candles, and nice plates. From a distance, it looks perfect. But guess what? The cracks are still there. They didn't fix anything. They just covered it. You're doing the hard work, looking at the damage, accepting it, healing it. They're doing the easy work, pretending it doesn't exist. So tell me, who is really stronger? The one who hides from the truth, or the one who faces it? It's difficult because your brain is wired to equate noise with importance. Whoever is louder seems bigger. Whoever is moving seems happier. Whoever is showing more seems stronger. But silence can be deceptive. Just like a still lake can hide a deep current, a calm social media feed can hide a storm in someone's chest. The reason they look so fine is not always because they are healed. Sometimes it's because they are desperate to prove to themselves and everyone watching that they didn't mess up, that they didn't lose something real, that they still have control. You also have to understand why you think the way you do. Many of us were taught, if someone leaves and looks happy, that means we weren't enough. We were trained to measure our worth by their reaction, their return, their attention. But that's emotional slavery. Stoicism teaches you something different. Your value is not a mirror. It does not change based on who walks away or who claps. Just because someone doesn't recognize your worth doesn't mean you don't have any. Just because someone acts like losing you is nothing doesn't mean it is nothing. The truth is, it will feel heavy at first. You will feel like you're the only one who lost something. You'll feel like they're on a higher ground. You'll feel like you got the short end of the deal. But that's just the opening scene. Time has not spoken yet. You're judging the story from the first few minutes of the movie. You haven't seen the character development, the plot twist, the moment where everything flips. Right now, you're in the part where the main character falls, breaks, questions everything. And that's okay. That's not the end. That's the shaping. What you don't see yet is what time is already doing for you. Each day you choose not to chase, not to beg, not to stalk, not to perform. You are building something in yourself that they don't have. You're building self-respect. You're building emotional control. You're building the ability to survive without being fed breadcrumbs of attention. While they're chasing distractions, you're learning discipline. While they're running from emptiness, you're learning how to fill your own space. They may feel like they won right now, but they're winning a game that ends in loneliness. You're losing what was fake to make room for what's real. Remember this, my friends. Short-term ego wins always turn into long-term soul losses. It might not show today or tomorrow or next week, but time does not forget. Time doesn't ignore the truth. Time doesn't reward manipulation. It rewards growth. It rewards honesty. It rewards those who are willing to feel the pain, sit with it, and rise from it. So when you see them acting like they're on top of the world, let them. Let them have their little parade. Let them pretend. Let them enjoy the applause from people who don't even know the full story. Because while they chase the crowd, you're building a core. And one day, that core will make you unshakable in ways they'll never understand. I want you to write this in the comments, to claim it for yourself, and to show them, show yourself, show the world around you what you're choosing today. I won't panic at their performance. Type it out, own it. Let it be your quiet promise to yourself, and stay with me, because what's coming next will show you exactly how time turns that fake victory of theirs into the heaviest regret they've ever felt. Number 2. Silence is the first lesson. Silence is not empty. It's where all the truth gathers. My friends, most people are terrified of silence, not because nothing is happening in it, but because too much is happening. The minute things go quiet, their thoughts get loud, their fears get louder, their regrets start waking up. That's why, when everything is still between you and them, they dive into distraction. They run to noise, they run to people. They run to anything that keeps them from hearing the very things silence is trying to tell them. Think of silence like a clean mirror in a dark room. At first, you don't see anything, just darkness, just emptiness. But the longer you stay, the more your eyes adjust, and suddenly you begin to see shapes, outlines, reflections you couldn't see before. That's what happens when things go quiet between you and someone who mishandled you. At first, it just feels like absence. It feels like a loss. It feels like you're staring at nothing. But given enough time, the nothing starts to show you everything. Folks, here's the hard truth. The silence you're sitting in right now is not just a pause in the story. It's a classroom. It's your first real lesson in who they are, who you are, and what this connection actually was. When the calls stop, when the messages dry up, when the constant back and forth finally dies down, what's left is raw reality. No performance, no sugarcoating, no emotional circus, just you, your thoughts, and the truth you've been avoiding. At the beginning, it feels brutal. You start thinking, why aren't they reaching out? Do they miss me at all? Was I that easy to forget? You replay all the times they said you mattered. You remember the promises, the future plans, the late-night conversations that felt so real. And now, nothing. Just silence. Your mind treats that silence like a verdict, like proof that you were disposable, that you were never important, that they've already moved on and upgraded, while you're still stuck in the same scene. But my friends, that is the lie you've been trained to believe. We live in a world where constant contact equals caring and silence equals rejection, but that's not always how it works. Some people don't reach out, not because they don't feel, but because they don't know how to feel honestly. They're scared of vulnerability. They're scared of admitting regret. They're scared of saying, I messed up, because their ego has been in the driver's seat for so long. So instead of facing what they feel, they pretend there's nothing to feel at all. On the outside, it looks like your silence means nothing to them, but silence doesn't leave anyone untouched. It works on both sides, just in different ways. On your side, it becomes healing. On their side, it becomes pressure. On your side, it becomes a reflection. On their side, it becomes tense. While you're learning to breathe without them, they're learning what it feels like to lose the air they took for granted. Think of it like this. Imagine two people in a room where the music suddenly shuts off. One person sits down, takes a deep breath, and lets their heartbeat slow. The other starts fidgeting, tapping on the table, checking their phone, turning on the TV, anything to fill the silence. Same room, same quiet, completely different responses. You, my friend, are the one learning to breathe. They are the ones trying to outrun the quiet. Who do you think is going to grow stronger in the long run? Silence is difficult at first because it forces you to confront yourself. There's no distraction, no argument, no new drama to hide behind. Just you and your reality. You start seeing the places you overgave, the moments you ignored red flags, the times you begged for bare minimum. It's painful, but it's honest. And that honesty is what sets the stage for your growth. You can't rise from what you won't admit. Silence gives you that chance. For them, silence is a different kind of teacher. It shows them what life actually feels like without your presence, without your reassurance, without your late-night replies, without your steady emotional support. At first, they might enjoy the freedom. They might say, finally, I'm free. But slowly, when the rush wears off and the noise dies down, silence starts whispering, this is what you chose. Are you really happier? They won't admit it to you. They might not admit it to themselves right away. But silence doesn't stop just because they're pretending. This is where Stoicism comes in. Stoicism doesn't tell you to feel nothing. It tells you to stop being controlled by what you feel. Silence becomes your training ground for that. You learn to sit with the discomfort without trying to fix it with a text. You learn to feel the loneliness without running back to what broke you. You learn to hear your own thoughts without letting them drag you into panic. The longer you stay still, the stronger you become. And the magic is this: the same silence that once scared you starts to feel like home. You no longer see it as punishment, you see it as protection. You realize, if they can't handle my silence, they never deserved my voice. You stop trying to explain your worth to someone who was blind to it. You stop trying to prove you weren't the problem. You let time and truth do that for you. My friends, silence is not the enemy. It's the filter. It shows you who was connected to your soul and who was only feeding off your presence. It reveals who will lean in when things get quiet and who disappears when the noise stops. It's the first lesson, and yes, it's a hard one. But it's also the one that prepares you for everything that comes next. I want you to write this in the comments, to claim it loud to yourself and to the world around you. Silence is my teacher. Type it out. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you're not running from the quiet anymore. You're learning from it. And stay with me, because soon we're going to talk about what happens when time starts turning that silence into a weight they can't escape. Number 3, time amplifies what they tried to ignore. What you refuse to feel today, time will make you feel louder tomorrow. Let that sit for a second, my friends, because this is where things start to get real. At the beginning, when everything ends, they convince themselves that cutting you off, pulling back, or playing cold was no big deal. They tell themselves, "I'll be fine. I don't need them. I did what I had to do." They treat your absence like background noise, easy to tune out, easy to ignore. But time is not a mute button. Time is a volume knob, and it turns everything up. Imagine a small leak in the ceiling. At first, it's just one tiny drop, barely noticeable. They look up, shrug, and say, "It's nothing, it'll stop on its own." They keep walking past it, day after day, pretending it's not there. But that drip doesn't disappear. It gets faster, it spreads, it stains the paint, it weakens the ceiling, until one day the whole thing cracks open and now they're standing under a mess they could have fixed when it was small. That's what time does with the feelings they tried to bury about you. What started as nothing becomes the very thing they can't escape. In the beginning, they push your memory away. They distract themselves with work, friends, parties, new faces, endless scrolling. They repeat the same lines. "I'm over it. I had to do this. They'll be fine." But time doesn't care about their script. Time brings back the unedited version. The moments you showed up for them, the times you listened when no one else did, the way they felt safe with you in a way they can't recreate with anyone else. They try to shove those memories into a dark corner, but time walks into that room, flips on the light, and says, "Look." Meanwhile, there's you. You might be sitting there wondering, do they even think about me? How can they just move on like I was nothing? Was I really that easy to forget? You imagine them sleeping soundly, laughing fully, living their best life, while you're the one stuck replaying everything. Your fear tells you they don't care. They've erased you. But that fear isn't the truth. It's your pain speaking. Because the reality is, nobody walks away from real connection completely untouched. They don't get to just delete the peace, the comfort, the understanding you gave them. They can hide from it for a while, but time won't let them hide forever. The lie you've been sold is that if they're not posting sadness, if they're not texting you, if they're not confessing regret, then they must not feel anything. But my friends, not everything that hurts is visible. Some people are experts at acting unaffected because that's how they survive. They were raised to see vulnerability as weakness. They were trained to believe that missing someone means losing power. So when the memories of you resurface, when the regret starts tapping on the door, they slam it shut and say, "Not now." But time just keeps knocking. Think about how time works in your own life. There are things you thought you were over until a song played, a place reminded you, or a scent pulled a whole moment back into your chest. You weren't over it. You were just busy. The same thing happens to them. They can scroll past your name 100 times, but on the 101st, something hits. They can laugh with someone new, but then see a look, a gesture, a phrase that reminds them of you. and suddenly their stomach drops for a split second. They'll shake it off, but time has already done its job. It's planted another reminder. This is why their "I don't care" act becomes harder to maintain as time goes on. At first, their ego is loud, but slowly, time lowers the ego's volume and raises the volume of truth. They start to notice the difference between your presence and everyone else's. They start feeling a gap they can't fill with noise. Their mind goes back to that safe place, that honest conversation, that moment when they felt deeply seen. And most of the time, that place was you. On your side, time is doing something different. It's not just amplifying pain, it's amplifying wisdom. The more distance you get, the clearer things look. You start seeing patterns you missed before. You realize how much you tolerated, how much you excused, how much you tried to fix things you didn't break. You stop romanticizing the moments and start understanding the reality. Time doesn't just make you miss them less, it makes you understand yourself more. It will still be difficult, of course. There will be days when their memory feels sharp again, days where your mind wonders, are they thinking of me right now? Do they regret it? Will they ever understand what they lost? That's normal. Your heart isn't a robot. But here's where you rise, my friends. You don't let those questions control you. You acknowledge them and then remind yourself, even if time is hitting them harder now, that's their lesson, not my responsibility. Because that's the other lie we have to break, that your healing depends on their regret. It doesn't. Their realization is their journey. Your growth is yours. Time may be amplifying what they tried to ignore, but your focus is not on their storm. It's on your rebuild. While they're being chased by the truth they avoided, you're being guided by the truths you've finally accepted. Think of it like two different movies playing side by side. In theirs, time is slowly turning up the volume on guilt, regret, and what-ifs. In yours, time is slowly turning up the volume on peace, clarity, and self-respect. They might not show it, but their chest feels heavier as the days go by. You might not notice it at first, but your steps are getting lighter. So when your mind whispers, "They've forgotten you," I want you to answer back with a deeper truth. Time doesn't let people forget what was real. It only exposes who was ready to grow from it and who wasn't. Their attempts to ignore you will eventually collide with the memories they can't erase. I want you to write this in the comments to remind yourself and send a message out into the world. Time is on my side. Type it. Own it. Let it be your anchor when your doubts get loud. Show them, show yourself, show the world that you're not afraid of what time reveals anymore. And stay with me, because next we're going to talk about the shift, when you stop feeling like the one left behind and start realizing you were actually the one being prepared to move ahead. Number 4, the shift they never see coming. One day, the pain you carry quietly becomes the strength they never saw coming. My friends, that's the moment no one warns you about. Not the breakup, not goodbye, not the cold distance. Everyone talks about the day it ends, but almost no one talks about the day something inside you finally shifts. The day you wake up and realize you're not checking your phone first thing in the morning. You're not rehearsing speeches in your head. You're not waiting for that message that once had the power to control your whole mood. The day you realize the storm inside you has turned into sky. At first, you don't even notice it. Healing rarely announces itself with fireworks. It's more like walking out of a dark cinema into daylight. At the beginning, your eyes hurt. Everything feels too bright, and you almost want to run back into the familiar darkness. The past, even when it hurts, feels known, predictable. The future feels uncertain. You ask yourself, what if I move on and they come back? What if letting go means I was the problem? What if I stop caring and that's when they finally care? These questions are echoes from the old version of you, the one who believed you always had to lose so others could feel comfortable. Then slowly, something starts to happen. You go through a whole afternoon without thinking of them. You see their name and your chest doesn't tighten the way it used to. You hear a song that once shattered you, and instead of crying, you just exhale. You start to notice that your body feels lighter. The air feels less heavy. The memories are still there, but they don't own you anymore. That's the shift they never see coming. While they assumed you'd always sit in the same emotional place, time was quietly moving you to a different seat in your own life. This is usually when fear tries one last trick. It whispers, if you stop caring, doesn't that make everything meaningless? If you stop waiting, what if you miss your chance? If you stop checking on them, doesn't that prove you were never real? But that's not truth talking, that's attachment. That's the part of you that was trained to believe your love only counts if it hurts. That your worth is proven by how long you stay loyal to what breaks you. That's the lie you're finally outgrowing. Think of it like this. Imagine you've been holding a heavy backpack for years. At some point, it became so normal that you forgot it was even there. You just assumed life was supposed to feel that exhausting. Then one day, you take it off for a minute, just to rest your shoulders, and suddenly your whole body feels different. You can stand taller, you can breathe deeper, you can move without dragging weight behind you. That's what happens when you finally release the emotional load you've been carrying around for them. You didn't even realize how tired you were until you stopped carrying what was never meant to be yours alone. On their side, this shift is invisible at first. They still think you're where they left you, waiting, wondering, quietly orbiting their choices. They expect that if they ever decide to return, you'll still be standing in the same emotional spot, arms open, heart available. But time has been working on you. Your silence has been training you. Your nights of overthinking have been turning into mornings of understanding. You're not frozen in place. You're moving, slowly but surely, into a life they no longer recognize. The difficulty is that your heart still remembers what it felt like. You may still have moments where you think, if they texted right now, what would I say? If they showed up at my door, would I let them in? If they cried and said they were sorry, would I believe it? This is where a lot of people go back, not because they're weak, but because they're scared that growth means letting go of the story they imagined, the future they wanted, the version of them they believed in. But growth doesn't erase what was real. It just stops you from using your past as a prison. Soon, the questions begin to change. Instead of, do they miss me? You start asking, do I even miss who I was with them? Instead of, will they come back? You start wondering, if they did come back, would they still fit into who I am now? Instead of, was I enough for them? You begin to realize they were never enough for the way I love. That's not arrogance, that's clarity. You finally see that what you were offering required someone capable of depth, honesty, and consistency, things they didn't have the courage to give. The shift they never see coming is not when you block them, rage at them, or call them out. The real shift is quiet. It's when their name doesn't hijack your nervous system anymore. It's when your peace stops shaking every time they post something. It's when their silence no longer feels like a punishment and more like confirmation that they were never meant to stay. You move from, why did they do this to me, to, why did I keep staying where I was slowly disappearing? That's when time stops being your enemy and becomes your ally. And here's the beautiful twist. The same time that made you cry now makes you powerful. The same silence that once felt like abandonment now feels like protection. The same memories that paralyzed you become chapters you can read without falling apart. You realize, I didn't break. I transformed. And while you're living this quiet transformation, they're still assuming they can walk back into the same story they left. They have no idea that the character they used to know has evolved into someone they no longer have access to. If you're feeling even the smallest bit of that shift right now, even if it's just a little less pain, a little more understanding, a little more distance from the old version of yourself, I want you to honor it. I want you to recognize that it took nights of struggle, days of confusion, and so much emotional discipline to get here. You didn't wake up strong. You built that strength one silent decision at a time. I want you to write this in the comments, to claim this new season loudly to yourself and to the world around you. I'm not where they left me. Type it, own it. Let it be your reminder that you are moving, even when it feels slow. And stay with me. Because next, we're going to talk about what happens when your growth stops just being quiet progress and starts becoming the mirror that exposes their regret. Number 5. Your growth exposes their regret. Nothing haunts the ego more than the success of the person it thought would stay broken. Let that truth hit, my friends, because this, right here, is the moment the whole story flips. Not when you cry, not when you wait, not when you replay every message at 3 a.m. searching for answers that never come. The shift happens the moment your growth becomes louder than their absence, when your glow starts to expand in places where their shadow used to live. When your silence stops being a wound and becomes a warning. At first, they don't notice it. They're still living in the fantasy that you'll always be there. They assume you're hurting in the corner they left you in. They think the version of you who tolerated their excuses, accepted their breadcrumbs, allowed their inconsistency, that version will always be waiting like a saved draft, ready to open whenever they feel lonely or bored. But time has been pulling you forward, even while your heart was still looking back. Then one day, life gives them a small preview of what's coming. Maybe someone mentions your name, and they don't react fast enough to hide the twitch in their chest. Maybe they see a picture of you, calm, collected, glowing, and something stings, but they pretend they don't know why. Maybe they hear a song that reminds them of the nights you held space for them, listened to them, loved them with a depth they didn't know how to hold. And suddenly, time presses play on a movie they didn't want to watch. The movie of everything they lost. This is what people forget. Your growth is not just healing for you, it's pressure for them. It reminds them of the contrast between who you've become and who they still are. You're evolving, they're repeating, you're rising, they're cycling, you're moving, they're stuck. That contrast burns. Think of it like this. Imagine a garden with two plants. One gets sunlight, care, and room to grow. The other tries to grow, but is trapped under a heavy stone. When the first plant starts blooming, it's beautiful. But it also becomes a reminder to the second plant of everything it could have been if it hadn't stayed stuck under weight. Your growth is that bloom. Their choices are that stone. And the regret begins the moment they realize they placed that stone there themselves. At first, the regret was small. A flicker, a momentary discomfort, something they shake off. They tell themselves, "I'm fine." They're just doing their thing. Good for them. But time enjoys turning flickers into flames. Regret starts visiting them at inconvenient times. When the room is quiet, when the distraction ends, when the mask slips. Regret walks in and whispers, "This is the person you didn't choose. This is the peace you didn't value. This is the love you took for granted." And they feel it, not in their head, but in their chest. Meanwhile, you're not trying to make anyone regret anything. You're just living. You're focusing on yourself. You're building routines that nourish your mind and calm your spirit. You're learning what real peace feels like. Peace that doesn't rely on someone else's approval. Peace that isn't constantly shaken by someone else's moods. Peace that feels like coming home to yourself. And your growth begins to change the way you carry yourself. You start walking differently. You speak with more certainty. You don't rush to fill the silence. You don't over-explain your feelings. You don't chase anyone who's not meeting you halfway. You begin to value your time, your energy, your heart. That's when people around you start noticing the difference. Your glow is no longer tied to someone else's presence. It's generated from within. Here's what makes your growth unavoidable for them. You stop reacting. You stop posting for attention. You stop checking up on them. You stop comparing yourself to whoever they're with. And that emotional neutrality cuts deeper than anger ever could. You're not fighting for their attention. You're not proving anything. You're not auditioning for a position in their life anymore. That kind of peace is magnetic and terrifying for someone who expected you to crumble. That's the moment they begin to question themselves. Why didn't I appreciate them? How did I let this go? Why do they look happier now that I'm gone? Did I misjudge their worth? And the hardest question of all, were they the person I needed, but I was too blind to see it? Regret doesn't scream, it whispers. It sneaks in through the smallest emotional cracks. It builds quietly until one day it becomes unbearable. And you're not there anymore to soothe it. Their regret grows louder as your life grows fuller. The more stable you become, the more unstable they feel. The more you rise, the more they feel the weight of their choices. The more you find yourself, the more they lose the version of you they took for granted. And here's the most powerful twist. The person they regret losing isn't even you from the past. It's the person you've become because they lost you. They can't reach this version. They don't have the key to this version. They don't get access to this version. This is the version built in silence, the version shaped in healing, the version strengthened by everything you survived. Your growth is the final mirror. The one they can't escape, the one they can't manipulate, the one they can't silence, the one that shows them, without you saying a single word, what they lost. And my friends, that is the moment time finishes its work. Before we close this chapter, I want you to write something powerful in the comments to stamp this transformation into your spirit. My growth is my proof. Type it. Declare it. Show it to yourself, to the world, and to anyone watching silently from the sidelines. And if this helped you, if it hit you somewhere honest, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs it. Stay with me. We rise together.